Hey, what is going on guys? Danny here, welcome back to the channel and I hope you've all been doing well. In this video, we're going to be discussing various topics involving some rumors and leaks surrounding unreleased Nvidia RTX 30 series graphics cards. We all know that Nvidia had pushed back the release date for the 3070 to the 29th of October in order for them to ensure they actually had a decent amount in regards to supply and to avoid another crap show. But I'm sure that was only half of the reason, and that they also wanted to steal AMD's thunder by releasing a new graphics card to the market a day after they unveiled their new RX 6000 series, which are looking to be quite competitive as the leaks suggest they will. Now, for quite some time, even before the RTX 3080 and 3090 were announced, we had been hearing many rumors about how there might be two versions of the RTX 3080. One with 10GB of memory that's out right now, and a 20GB model that might be released later on in the year or as a response to AMD's RX 6000 series. In addition to the 3080 20GB model, we had also heard some rumors of a 16GB model of the 3070, and probably because of similar reasons. Nvidia this time around is quite worried about what AMD will bring to the market, because like I said, if the leaks and rumors are anything to go by, then we could be looking at a very competitive scene in the high-end graphics card segment and the enthusiast segment after a very long time, a market segment where AMD had been pretty much absent in for the last few generations. If you guys saw my previous video where I discussed some leaked specs and the various RX 6000 SKUs AMD is planning on releasing, then you'll know that AMD isn't playing around this time and mean business, as they are taking the fight straight to the top, targeting the 3090 and onwards for this generation. So this is why we had seen many rumors and even leaks from AIBs and legitimate SIs about these unreleased SKUs with more memory. Galax, who are a pretty big board partner, had a slide leaked during a presentation where they openly list a 20GB RTX 3080. Gigabyte on their Watch Dogs Legion Redemption page list a 3080 20GB model and a 16GB RTX 3070. Lenovo, who are a huge OEM and SI, list a Legion desktop with a 16GB 3070 Ti, which is actually a different card than the 3070 16G, and that is quite peculiar. Then to top it all off, Nvidia in their own white paper actually lists the 3080 with 10GB at the end when differentiating between the various x80 GPUs, which they haven't ever done that before, implying there might be another version coming soon with more memory. All of these SKUs were planned to be released at a later date or in response to AMD's Big Navi, and we have seen these kinds of knee-jerk reactions before from Nvidia, e.g. 1070 Ti, Turing refresh with supercards. However, all of this talk and rumors about these new SKUs for the 3080 and 3070 can now be put to rest, as video cards claim to have received some information from their sources stating that Nvidia had told its board partners that they will not launch the RTX 3080 20GB model and the 3070 16GB model. According to video cards, the original plan was to launch these cards sometime in December, but not anymore. Technically, the cards could still come at a later date, but nothing in the near future. The reasoning for the cancellation is still unknown. However, they do mention that one of their sources have told them Nvidia are running into yield issues with the new G6X modules, but the 3070 only used regular GDDR6 modules, so I believe that might be partially true. Now, they do also mention that the 3070 Ti PG141 SKU0 was also cancelled. However, a day later, we did see Kopite on Twitter give a statement which directly contradicts that by saying that Nvidia are planning on releasing a new Ampere GeForce graphics card based on the GA102 chip, which will have 7,424 CUDA cores, 10GB of G6X memory, and a 320-bit bus. So in terms of CUDA cores, that's about 26% greater than the 3070. So could it be that the 3070 Ti is back on the table? And if these specs are true, then the 3070 Ti could be the go-to card for this generation in the RTX 30 series, because it's not going to be all that much further from the 3080 in terms of performance. This circles back to what I said about Nvidia having these knee-jerk reactions to AMD whenever they release a new graphics card. And what's funny is that they'll always act like it doesn't affect them. They'll go as far as to call them lousy or say they're not worried, but their actions don't seem to reflect that. Now, I'm going to be making a separate video on this, but there have been some leaked 3D Mark scores of the RX 6800 XT, and it does look to be a very competitive graphics card, beating out the 3080 in many cases. And if that's the case, then that must mean that the 6800 non-XT, which will probably be catered towards competing with the 3070 and will likely remain on top in most benchmarks, which I believe Nvidia have caught wind of, hence we're now seeing these rumors of the 3070 Ti. Vega 56, when it launched, did beat out the 1070, then Nvidia brought out the 1070 Ti to solidify their lead again in that segment. Now, since we're on the topic of the 3070, performance is probably going to be around where you'd expect it to be. Nvidia even released their own chart in the reviewer's guide showing that the performance should be right around the 2080 Ti, maybe just slightly faster, especially with ray tracing and DLSS turned on, which we know Ampere excels at, which definitely isn't bad for $499 US, and that is if you'll be able to find it in stock, and for around MSRP that is. Video cards did also post some photos of the card in various 3D Mark benchmarks, and the scores seem to be right around the same neighborhood as the 2080 Ti. Sometimes it loses by a bit, and sometimes it's winning by a bit. So when the NDA lifts and you guys start to see reviews of the 3070 come out, whether that's the Founders Edition or the AIB models, you can expect the card to perform about the same or maybe even slightly better than the 2080 Ti in regards to gaming. It'll be interesting to see how AMD respond to this. I do firmly believe that they'll release a card which will, for the most part, beat the 3070, but the biggest question that I have is how much they're willing to price these cards. Because like I said, for $499, you're getting a lot of bang for the buck here. The 3080 is what, 40% more expensive? But if the 3070 is around that 2080 Ti performance level, maybe a bit faster, then it'll probably only end up around 15 to 25% slower, depending on the resolution. And as you guys saw, at lower resolutions like 1440p and 1080p, Ampere doesn't seem to perform at its full potential. And in my review, I even said if you want a great 4K gaming card, then the 3080 is a great option. However, at 1440p or below, you're probably better off waiting for the 3070, and that seems to be the case. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. Now moving on, and the last topic I wanted to briefly focus on was the upcoming RTX 3060. Now if we were to go by Nvidia's naming scheme traditionally and follow their release schedules, it shouldn't come as a surprise that we'll see a RTX 3060 targeting the mid-range market at that $350 price point. It's coming for sure, it's just a matter of when. Now something interesting Rogaine mentioned on Twitter was that the RTX 3060 will be based on GA104, which is the same chip that the 3070 is based on, but will only have 6GB of memory, which I have to say, if this is true, because remember, always take these rumors with a grain of salt, but if it is true, then I just gotta say that's an extremely stupid and short-sighted move on Nvidia's part. It's 2020 now, and if the 3060 is going to be around the same level of performance as a 2080 or 2070 Super, then it really should have had 8GB of G6 memory at the very least. Like, it really doesn't make sense why Nvidia is being so reluctant with their memory configurations, when back in 2016 a $180 RX 470 came with 8GB of memory, and it's not like this is the brand new G6X modules. GDDR6 has been out for quite some time and isn't nearly as expensive. And I'm pretty sure they're not going through some yield issues for that as well. But wait, is this because Nvidia might also release a 3060 Ti or 3060 Super, which will have 8GB of memory? Now, I'll be honest, when I keep seeing these rumors and leaks of Ti or Super models, it really annoys the crap out of me, because it just goes to show you that Nvidia is still keen on saturating the market like crazy with all these SKUs, and it just becomes confusing for the consumers. Last gen, there were Ti and Super models, 1660 Super, 1660 Ti, and a regular 1660, and there were other SKUs that also had that same problem. Like, it becomes really confusing, and I just want them to release a model from the get-go that's actually competent in terms of specs and performance, rather than being conservative with specs and then waiting until they get beaten by their competitor and then finally release the card that they should have released from the start. It's just really annoying, and 6GB on a 3060, which we know for sure will be above $300 in 2020, is just inexcusable. And if they decide to go through with it, then I really hope to get an earful from the tech press, because I can't see any reasons to justify. I hope you guys found this video to be informative and helpful. Let me know your thoughts down below. Check out the video description on ways to support the channel and for my other videos. If you guys are interested in more content like this, then make sure you're subscribed. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one.